This video is about the second wave. So the first wave was the fake virus that they blamed everything on in order to initiate martial law to the degree it's been imposed on everybody throughout the whole world. And I say it's fake because if it was real, there'd be no room for debate. This wouldn't be a point of contention among people because there'd be so many people dying that there'd be funerals everywhere and people would be dropping like flies, and it would just be ridiculous to debate it if it's real or not. So because that's not happening, that means it's not real, at least not to the extent they portrayed it to be. So I think that might be by design. I think it's possible that the first wave was meant to not be real. And the reason why is because they know that people um, who are awake are going to call it out for what it is, and for people who are on who might not be awake, but let's say they're on the right side of the false paradigm, then they would call it out as well, and they need both those people to be silenced and discredited. So, what if the second wave is going to be real? And then you'll actually see people dying, etc., which I hope is not the case if they ever get to a second wave, because they might not actually have to anyway, because look how smoothly this rolled out for them. So, but let's say there was a second wave, just for the sake of conversation. What if, like I said, the second wave will be real? And the reason why I speculate on that is because if since the first wave was not true, and they may have already counted on people calling it out as not being real, then this way, when the real one comes out, that's when people are going to get upset and they're going to be like emotionally distraught about losing loved ones. And when emotions get that high, then it's a lot easier to make someone, the enemy, the demonize somebody. Is it's your fault. This is all happening because of you. Um, and so that could lead to, like, say, well, look at all these Christians, etc. These truthers, these Christians, and other groups that they deem to be domestic terrorists or whatever. Um, they're the reasons why people are dying, because if they wouldn't have fought getting the the vaccine or whatever, then this all wouldn't be happening right now. It's all their fault, and they're the ones that are blowing up the 5G towers. So they're keeping you from having your high speed internet, and they're not making you. They're making you very unsafe um, from the these viruses because they refuse to get you know the vaccine, etc. So they are the enemy. We would live in a perfect utopia if it wasn't for them, and they're the ones that keep saying that all these things are fake, and they're etc. So um, when emotions get ramped up that high, then it becomes easier for them to to complete their plans. And I don't know if that's the case. Honestly, it's just an idea. It's just speculation on my part. Um, but I know it's harder to do that when emotions aren't as high, when there's room for debate. But what it does with the first virus is that it allows for people to step forward and say, "I think it's fake." It allows um, for people to um, follow that path, so to speak. It's kind of like they've possibly laid out the cheese for us to follow us in a certain direction. And to some extent, even if that is the case, you still have to call it out for what it is. So, we're kind of like on this path of no return, so to speak. So, and you could think of it as being a narrow path, if you will. So, all these things coming to pass, they have to play themselves out, you know? So, it reminds me of too, is like, I don't know if anybody else can identify with this, but have you ever felt like, um, within the parameters of what you can and can't do within the person you are and how you're born and the circumstances that you've been born into, that you find yourself like in the same kind of experience again and again and again to some extent, and attracting the same kind of people in your life again and again and again, for better or worse. It's not like a judgment thing. Um, it could be good or it could be bad, or neutral. So I'm not implying anything like that, like value wise. All I'm simply saying is that, you know, um, as a side note, because my mind just went there, is that sometimes it feels like everything that we do is sort of like magnetically attracted to us or something. If that makes sense. Like, you know, you're we're all like fated for certain. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Any event though, just throwing it out there. The second wave, dun dun dun.